wow. Hello you beautiful lot, and welcome to today's episode of Purple Vision. Now I'm down here at Wellingboroug's embankment, down by the Whitworth steam mill, which was of course built in 1888, and before then there was another mill that Whitworth's owned, okay, and that would be Turnell's mill. And it turns out that was the original Whitworth's mill, and because of the grain that was coming in from Canada, it was too hard. So they had to build a more powerful one, which was a steam-powered mill rather than a water mill. Anyway, this water mill, Turnell's mill, it was under a big fire. I mean, it burnt down and there was hardly anything of it left, except from one bit. I've become very friendly with a gentleman who runs a very lovely Facebook group called Wyndham Watermills, and it's absolutely epic. Anyway, the gentleman that is restoring the last piece of the watermill is willing to meet me and show me the whole project of the restoration of Turnell's mill watermill. So, give me a moment. I'm going to make my way round to the gates, cross these dangerous bloody roads, and we'll go meet Trevor Stainwright. Well, here we are then, and this is the lovely Trevor Stainwright. How are you doing?
Hello, David. It's great to meet you.
Yeah, and the sun's in the eyes. So, yeah. This is a gentleman that's been doing the restoration of the water wheel of Turnell's mill. So, yeah, how was your journey?
It's been long and arduous, and not without its problems.
No.
I started this many years ago. For the first 2 years, I had to negotiate with Whitworths to get permission to actually do this. And basically, it was very much like this. It was
very
just
overgrown. Yeah.
Overgrown, thistles, weeds, nettles everywhere, and you could barely see the water wheel.
Yeah.
And I'll show you what it looks like now.
Awesome. Oh, wow. That's completely different from looking at the road. When you look in, I mean, even during the winter when we tried looking in, you only get a tiny glimpse of what that is. That's amazing. Oh, wow. And this all would have been turned in to grind up the wheat.
Yes, that's right.
That's mighty.
It was running close. This is a timeline, Dave.
Oh, okay.
This is exactly what happened on what dates. If you want a quick study of that.
Look at that. That's brilliant. Oh, look.
That's the back of the mill, and the wheel would have been about here. The river comes along here, and there'll be an arch which is just out of the picture.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
And from the other side, it would have looked like this.
Oh.
That's the arch that's been rebuilt.
Okay.
And I'll show you where. And if you look at the far end, I'll show you where the mill house was. There's only a gap of about that much.
Oh wow.
6 feet between the mill and the mill house.
Doddington Road Mill.
So
is that to go with the old road before the A45?
It was called a number of names. It was known in the Middle Ages as Staples Mill, I think after the man who ran it.
Okay.
It was also known as Wellingborough Mill, Doddington Road Mill, and then eventually Turnell's Mill after the guy who ran it towards the end of the 19th century.
Yeah. That's magnificent, that is. Is this your paving work?
Yes.
Yeah, very nice.
Well, I got tired of pulling up stinging nettles and trying to pull up weeds, so the only solution was to pave
feel
it.
your pain. Fighting the stinging nettles, everything is a nightmare, but that's brilliant. It actually blends in with it as well. Keeps it nice and rustic.
Well, the bricks came from all sorts of places, from the old Mattel's factory. I tried to get some from the prison and they said no.
No,
all sorts of places, railway bridges, just anything, any skip that was available, I was there.
Wombling,
Yeah,
brilliant,
definitely.
brilliant. I like it. Oh wow, that's a sluice gate and a half, that is, look. I suppose they'd survive the fire, wouldn't they, because it's metal.
Yes, the fire led to the demolition of the mill, which actually happened in 1975.
Oh, okay.
When it was actually used. Everybody thinks it stopped working in 1968, but it actually continued till about 1971 as a backup for the Whitworths group. One of the last watermillers in the county in Oldham, Northamptonshire was working this. There was a young guy at the time called Tony Saxby. I know he's got a Facebook page. I don't know if he's still around. I've messaged him a few times, but he's not got back to me. Yeah, don't worry about it. But the wheel was actually constructed in 1874 when the whole mill was rebuilt. Before that, it must have been a stone-built building, because I'd found lots of stones as I've been digging up big ironstone chunks, which are now in part of the garden.
A hairdryer. Oh right, okay, yeah, the ironstone. I see.
In the summer it doesn't look too bad, but these are some of the ironstone blocks we've dug up.
Yeah, look at the
keep saying we, it's me.
It's you on your own, mate.
I have a friend who helps me, a bricklayer, a retired guy, but because of the COVID, he's been out of circulation for a while. It's mainly me, with some help from a guy called Pete, who's brilliant.
Oh, okay. Good old Pete. I like that.
That's a little bit of fun.
Yeah, of course. Bit like home, and I bet you spend quite a lot of time here as well. So to make these bits more homely around here. Have you done a camp out here just to feel the energy?
I don't do camping.
Oh right, okay. Oh bless you. No.
Put some nest boxes up to make it a bit more sort of nature friendly.
Yeah.
We have had thrushes and blue tits in these boxes. I've actually had a thrush family in the wheel.
Oh wow.
Of course, everything stopped while they were hatching and everything.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, that's awesome, isn't it?
Well, this was totally rebuilt. The arch and everything there, it was just completely destroyed from about there to the other diagonal.
Oh, okay.
And Pete Kimber of Furchester rebuilt this over a period of about a year or so. And this represents the only exterior bit of the mill that's left. So the mill would have ended there, and the mill house would have been where that tree is.
Oh, okay. So it would have gone that way
into the road.
Oh, wow. So, my opinion, do excuse me, but because of the A45 being built, there was a speculation back in the day that the fire was actually caused by those who were in favour of the A45 to be built. Just a thought.
Is how to stop a water wheel. That assembly there of iron, that's part of a pinion, and you wind it down, and there's a wooden gate originally, and that would have cut off the flow of the water and brought the wheel to a stop.
Oh, okay.
Because at the time all these trees weren't here, and this was one big hollow, they built a bypass channel, so when that gate is down, that one is up to stop flooding.
Oh,
and
okay.
the water would have been pounding through that arch
and
off to the rest of the river, which would have looped round to make
of course, the mill race. And
mill race, yeah.
That's it.
We're okay at this point. There's nothing to worry about, because all the rotten paddles had to be removed. I mean, they were really, really rusty, and some of them were wafer thin.
Yeah.
And just for safety's sake. I took them off.
Yeah, and they're over in your garden. They look like Roman shields.
Oh,
yes. Brilliant.
If you come this side, please be aware of your head.
Right, okay, I've got my Afro hard hat, but still it would hurt.
Okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just walk very
Yeah.
with your feet. That's it.
Yeah. Whoa, beautiful. God, me and me size 13 feet. So how does all this work, all this mechanical stuff? Because I love the mechanics.
Okay. When the wheel rotates, this is the pit wheel, and it's on the same axle. And as it rotates, this would have powered some other gears, which would have been way up there, and driven the stones on the first floor of the water mill.
Oh, the millstones I've seen with the ridges.
Coupled up some gears. On the first floor, the ceiling would have been about up here, and but don't forget it was all enclosed. So all the action happened on the first floor. In time, the stones were replaced by these sort of what they call roller mills.
Yeah.
And it's a very simple thing. You've got a hopper, the grain would have been put in there, and they do the job of the stones. A lot finer the flour was.
I suppose this was in the day when they had the decent flour, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. As you can see, it's coupled up to wheels and things that would have been above, all driven by shafts and things.
And of course the shafts would have been driven by that one and the big cog at the top, like
that's
you said.
right.
Awesome.
There would have been. I have heard that many of these contraptions still exist. They're actually held in the Victoria mills, but I've not seen them myself.
Oh, well, I might be able to. I do want to get in there and have a look at how it works these days.
Give
of
me
course.
a shout when you do.
Yeah, will do.
This is the wheel we're seeing here, and there would have been a dividing wall for some reason between that wheel and the main water wheel.
Okay. That's awesome, isn't it? These are good pictures you've got.
There is a collector.
Yeah, I bet.
Okay,
It's passion, isn't it? Passion driven.
That's a picture of it as it was inside the mill.
That's awesome.
This photograph is just after it was demolished. You
Right.
can see the brickwork and all the ruins.
Yeah.
There's part of the original road.
Oh, right, okay.
Because the watermill would have ended here, and then there was a road.
Oh, yeah, look, you've got Whitworths in the background here.
That's
look.
right. Yep.
And this, I suppose, would be the tannery.
That's right. It was.
Yeah.
And as you
Brilliant.
can see, in this photograph and others, there are no trees.
No.
All these trees are about 40 years old. That's all. It's incredible.
It's a nice little spot. I mean, no one. The amount of people I've told about this one, they went, the amount of times I've gone past, I've never noticed it, and you only get to see it half the time of the year. But it's beautiful. Really is nice. So, what's your next plan with it then?
Well, when my friend and colleague comes back to work, we want to concrete some of the wooden bits that have rotted away.
Oh right,
And
okay.
on the other side of the wheel, you've got this sort of effect where the timbers, large timbers, have just rotted.
And like they've started here. I mean, this is just half.
This timber isn't actually doing anything, but up over the other side, you can see there would have been a timber under that bearing, and of course there's nothing there now, so we've got to do something to support this.
Otherwise that whole end's going to drop.
I think we're lucky so far, but we are getting round to it very soon.
Oh, well, you'll have plenty of manpower with us lot to help you try and lift that one, I bet.
Just want to show you some of the machinery.
Okay. Yeah.
Those planks are a bit weak, so I'll take you the pretty one.
Oh, right, okay. is awesome.
This is the gear that operated the gate.
Brilliant.
There would have been a crank handle here, and the miller or the operator would have rotated this. There's a worm drive there, would crank this around, and it would have, with these pinions and the rack, would have lifted the whole gate.
And let the water pass through.
Let the water pass through, yeah.
So they needed to do maintenance on the wheel, they could do, right?
The thing is, I've been studying this for a while, and when you look at this stuff, it's what they call over-engineered.
It is,
It's
isn't it?
so complex. I mean, this is solid cast iron, and once again, there would have been a crank probably over there which would have raised this up, and the gate would have come with it. But for instance, if you look at this and you see the sketches I've done, it's like in a star shape. Now there's no reason for that, only because they were craftsmen in those days. This wheel,
Yeah, they took
this
pride
unit.
in what they did, yeah.
and other implements, they're just so well built, and they've lasted since 1874. They've been out in the elements for years, and they're still here.
Yeah. And thank you for taking the time in doing what you're doing. I love this. I mean, it's pretty hard to imagine. I mean, I know what you... So you would have had this bit and just these little end bits. So
That's
then you've
right, yeah.
redone this.
It's all been rebuilt.
Yeah. And that just brings more magic to the place.
I hope so.
It does, yeah, yeah.
You can see where Pete finished. He's chiselling out all these rotten bricks and replacing them with new fresh ones, which for the most part we've scrounged.
Nice.
These bits on the ground, these are the original walls of the mill, which we just dug up.
Here, I suppose, wouldn't they?
I dug all this out to give Pete a bit of headroom while he was working, and we keep finding all these big sections of brick.
Okay. So that's... Well, yeah, if you got one that side, you would have had one here, surely.
Yes, probably.
Yeah, you can see the angle with the brick there. That's awesome.
Goodness
Brilliant.
knows what's under all this mound of earth, because of course in the old days this was just a huge...
It just would have been like a
You
waterway.
can see the brickwork extends right that way.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. Oh, and here.
Way off into the distance.
Yeah, so your mill race would have come from here, but that's...
Would have swept in here with some force.
So we're standing on what would have been water.
There would have been two arches, one there, one here, a big arch which we can't build.
No.
It's just too impractical, and the water would have swept in enough to turn that. We reckon it's between 5 and 10 tons, that wheel.
Wow.
Enough to rotate it.
Wow. And then of course it completely shut down because it couldn't deal with the Canadian wheat that was coming in. And so they turned to steam power.
In the old days, yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's absolutely amazing. Trevor, thank you so much. Absolute pleasure.
It's been great to meet you.
Yeah, and likewise.
Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah. So, yeah, do check out Wyndham Watermill's Facebook group. I'll leave that one in the description below because that's this man's passion and it's beautiful. Do like and subscribe to the channel. If you don't mind giving it a little bit of a share so people get the knowledge as well, I'll be highly grateful. But on that note, thank you for watching. Peace, love and light. A whole heap of unity. See you later.